Hello, my name is Ari Lucas. I am the rabbi at Congregation Agudath Israel in Caldwell, and I'm delighted to share this bit of Torah with Greater Metro West Federation. First, I'm just so happy that we get a whole week to spend devoted to Parshat Pikudei. This week's Torah portion doesn't usually get its own week. It usually is with its partner Vayakel, which we read in synagogue last week. But because this year is a leap year in the Jewish calendar, and you're probably celebrating Rosh Chodesh, the new month of Adar 2, as you're receiving this video, you know that we have extra Shabbats on our calendar this year. That's why Passover is relatively late, and Rosh Hashanah next year is going to be late. Because we've added a whole month into the calendar this year, which means we have extra real estate to divide up the Torah portions of the year, and Pikudei gets its own Torah portion. So I wanted to share a midrash, a rabbinic teaching about this week's Torah portion, which I find particularly poignant as we're thinking about how we move closer to each other, farther away from each other. Certainly that's relevant in the time of the pandemic where we've been distanced and seeking to draw near again. It's also, my mind is in Ukraine and thinking about the terrible displacement that people are experiencing there, what it's like to be forced away from your home and to want to be able to return home, but it's not safe to do so. So here's the Midrash, and then I hope it'll invite you to consider these themes as it might relate to your own life. The Midrash says that when God first created the universe, God was in this world. God's presence infused the world. God was in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. But then, at each step where people are unkind or violent towards each other, God removes God's self, one step at a time away from the world. The Midrash goes through some of the challenging stories of the beginning of the Bible, where Adam and Eve sin and God ascends from earth to heaven. And then when Cain kills his brother, God ascends from the first firmament to the second, and with each generation, Noah, Enoch, God keeps going higher and higher away from this earth until God reaches the seventh realm. But then the Midrash reaches a turning point. When Abraham enters the world and performs good deeds, God comes a little closer. When Jacob and Isaac and the patriarchs and matriarchs do good works in this world, God keeps getting closer and closer until this week's Torah portion, when the people of Israel build the tabernacle, complete the work, and God returns to earth. It's a beautiful, symmetrical ascending, descending of God. And what I like so much about this is the idea that God responds to the ways we treat each other. God responds to the ways we create holy environments on earth. God is pushed away from this place when God feels we're not doing what we should be doing to care for each other or for the world. And when we do care for each other and for the world, well, then God says, that's a place where I want to be. And God comes and dwells among us. In this week's portion, there's that euphoria at the end of the story where God's presence fills the tabernacle. So as we consider how we might feel distanced from our neighbor, from our friends, from our family, from our community, as we think about people who are distanced from their homes this week, we might think about what can I do that might make this world a place where God will want to reside. I bless you all that you should have a Shabbat Shalom and look forward to seeing you soon.